Imagine a world where those who are supposed to uphold the law find themselves on the other side of it. That's right, it happens. And today we're looking at 5 instances where corrupt cops face the very justice they're meant to uphold. So get ready for a journey that'll make you question everything about law and order. But before we get into it, go ahead and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Let's start with one of the most shocking ones. This case takes us back into 2009. After years of investigations into a murder case from 1986, there finally came a breakthrough. DNA evidence pointed fingers at Stephanie Lazarus, a successful detective herself. The victim was Sherry Rasmussen, who was found shot 3 times in her home. And after more than 20 years, she would finally get justice. Considering that Stephanie was a cop herself, the detectives knew they had to be clever. Stephanie had a stellar record and was recently praised for cracking a theft case. They couldn't just bring her in for interrogation without heavy resistance. They had to be creative. And so they came up with a plan to lure her in under the excuse of needing her help on a confidential case.
I don't want to talk about this in the squadron because I don't know who people are listening. And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is doing. No problem. Okay.
The detectives, playing it cool, brought Stephanie into an interrogation room, assuring her it was the safest place to discuss the confidential case. Little did she know the case was about her. The victim, Sherry, was entangled in a love triangle with Stephanie and her husband, Jim Rutten.
Are you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends. I mean, what's this all about?
It's a case we're working on. It involves John, and in there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were good friends. Lived in the dorms for 2 years.
Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated. You know, I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
There was motive, and there was evidence, so the cops were certain they had the right suspect. The tension rose as the detectives dropped John's name, trying to test Stephanie's reactions. She tried to look composed, but her anxiety became clear. And in a matter of minutes, she went from being a confident detective to a nervous suspect. Stephanie realized something was wrong here, and that she had to quickly come up with a defense that doesn't look desperate. She started defending herself and questioning the accusations. The detectives then asked for a DNA sample and caught her off guard. And in a last attempt to look innocent, she agreed. She thought she was calling their bluff, but that, unfortunately for her, wasn't the case.
And you're right.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, you know, I got a problem with, with that.
Okay.
Okay? So, you know, if you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with, now you're accusing me of this? Is that what you're saying?
Obviously, you know about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, gets done on cases nowadays. If we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe. Because now I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer.
Just 5 minutes later, the detectives decided they'd heard enough. Cuffs went on, and Stephanie's world crumbled. Months later, in a courtroom, the jury delivers a verdict that ended her years of escaping the law. She was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to 27 years behind bars.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, guilty of the crime of murder of Sherry Rasmussen. We further find the murder was of the first degree.
Next up, we have the case of Captain James French. Our story began at 7:25 p.m. when French, an Oklahoma police captain, found himself in a situation that turned out to be one of the most brazen examples of police corruption caught on camera. Captain French was caught drinking and driving and was followed home by an officer. The officer asked him to stay in his vehicle, and the captain was already in a confused state of mind. The officer kept his camera rolling even when French asked him repeatedly. And that's how we have this footage.
Stay in your vehicle. Back in your car.
I'm
drunk?
No, I'm the captain.
Huh?
I'm the captain.
A what?
Captain.
Of what? Don't reach in your pocket. Get back in your car. Have a seat.
I will. I'm not.
You been drinking tonight?
I just got a ride.
You been drinking tonight, sir?
I'm a captain on the police department.
What police department?
Oklahoma City.
What division?
Investigations.
How much we had to drink tonight, sir?
Please.
Huh?
Turn the camera off.
I'm not turning my camera off.
Okay.
In the footage, we see the officer asking if he had been drinking tonight, to which he didn't respond and tried diverting the conversation. He insisted on his position as a police captain, but the officer stood his ground. He then conducted a field sobriety test, testing just how drunk the captain really is.
Hands down by your side, please. Look straight ahead. You see the tip of my pen, sir?
I do.
I want you to follow the tip of my pen without moving your head, okay? Come over here where it's a little bit more level. I'm going to demonstrate for you first. While I'm demonstrating, I want you to stand with your feet together, hands down by your side, just like this. All right, sir? What's your name?
Matt French.
Matt French. Mr. French, stand just like that for me. When I tell you to begin, okay, I'm just going to demonstrate for you first. I want you to pick a foot of your choosing. It doesn't matter if it's your left or your right foot.
I'm familiar.
And I want you to lift it approximately 6 inches off the ground. And while you look at your toe, I want you to count by 1,000. It's 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, so on and so forth until I tell you to stop. At any point in time you lose your balance or your foot touches the ground, just go ahead and pick your foot back up and continue to count, okay? Do you understand these instructions I've explained to you, Mr. French? You may begin.
1,000.
Keep
Sir,
going.
can you turn that off?
I cannot, sir.
Please.
I know you're aware of our body cam policy. You know I cannot turn off this body
I
camera.
do, but I'd like to talk to you.
I can't do that, sir.
Please.
Are you going to do the test or not?
Will you please talk to me?
I'll talk to you once we're
You
done.
can turn it off, you can turn it on.
I can turn it off once I'm done with my investigation, sir.
Okay. I'm a captain on the police department.
I understand that, sir.
I get
And I
that.
am a sergeant on this police officer, and
I
I've
am
taken
not.
an oath to uphold the law.
I
don't
am
show
not.
favoritism to anyone, regardless. I don't care if you're a gangbanger or the President of the United States.
Sir, I'm not asking you for that.
If I was to treat you differently than I was to treat like some Southside loco or some pedo, how's that look on me?
Okay, I'm not asking you for that.
Because I wouldn't do that for any of them.
And not only did he stumble over his words, but he also swerved across lanes on his way home. He was clearly failing the test and made several attempts to talk his way out of this situation. This went on for pretty long, with an exchange of dialogue between both that can be heard in the footage. A summary is that French continued his pleas, and the officer was insistent on not letting this slide. But the officer asked him to put his hands around his back, and just like that, Captain French found himself in cuffs. He says, "I don't care if you're a gangbanger or the President of the United States, sir." Pretty bold move there.
All right, anytime you're ready, you may begin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All right, go ahead and turn around for me. Put your hands behind your back.
Are you gonna arrest me, sir?
Yes, I am.
Can I talk to you?
Go ahead and put your hands behind your back, sir.
And Captain French faced the consequences of his actions, a small fine and a few months in jail. But the key was that his rank couldn't shield him from the law. Next is the case of Michael Neely. It all started with the hotel room, a dead police chief, and a wild night. Neely and his chief, Johnny Miller, were on a conference trip, but little did they know it would turn into a deadly one. After a night of heavy drinking, Neely woke up in police custody, not realizing he was about to face the consequences of his actions. As the detective started questioning Neely, it became evident that he was in deep trouble.
So tell me, Mike, you guys flew out of Tulsa?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, okay. And to Pensacola?
Yep.
Was it a direct flight?
Nope.
Where'd you guys stop?
Houston.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then from there?
Got to the hotel and that's it.
Hungover and disoriented, Neely was struggling to recall the events leading up to Chief Miller's death. And then the detectives dropped the bomb. Neely's blood alcohol was off the charts. It was at a 0.3, which is considered fatal. It only proved that both men were completely out of control that night. And then came the second bomb. Neely was being charged with second-degree murder. To this, Neely was shocked and confused and invoked his right to silence. But the detectives were professionals and were not ready to let their prime suspect off so easily. They used two techniques to keep him talking. First, a reminder of the dire consequences he's facing. Second, they offer him a chance to solve the mystery himself, subtly leading him to cooperate.
Do you remember hotel staff or hotel employee coming up and telling you guys to keep it down?
I don't remember that.
So what is the last thing you remember as far as that evening until the football game?
I mean, I know you're asking me questions, but can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, homicide. Who is dead?
Dead.
Dead.
Yes, sir.
I guess I probably don't have anything else to say then. I've got nothing to say to you.
The detectives guided him through the hazy memories of that night. He started recalling the night in bits and pieces. From a football game to a couple of beers, Neely was trying to figure things out. Noise complaints, arguments, and then he was sitting on Chief Miller's chest, face beaten. But Neely claimed to remember nothing.
I'm trying to get you to figure out what's the last thing you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And if the last thing you remember was watching football, do you remember drinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you drinking the vodka?
Yeah, I drank some vodka.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
the first call came a little bit after 6, I believe. One of the guys that was in the room next to you didn't say you guys were arguing, just being loud, just laughing, yelling, probably. So the next noise complaint came out about 9 minutes till 10. This time he can't get anybody to come to the door. All he hears, he's knocking. He hears just grumbling, grunting, uses his car to get in, is on the ground between the bed and the wall. You are sitting on his chest. His face is beaten. The statement that was given by the second noise complaint could hear a male saying, Mike, stop, and then it just went quiet.
But his demeanor changed. After this, he became weirdly calm. He was put in jail and sentenced to life for second-degree murder, and he accepted this with surprising composure. And then there's this chilling case. It started in the small town of Gateway, Arkansas, where James Appleton was shot dead in a parking lot. The murderer was unknown to everyone at the time, but it turned out to be none other than Grant Harden, a 50-year-old police officer who'd lived in the town his whole life. As this discovery was made, Grant was apprehended and brought in for questioning. Since he'd been a member of law enforcement, the detectives knew that their usual tactics wouldn't work. Grant would see right through them. And they were right. His interrogation became one of the most challenging ones they'd ever faced.
By the way, I'm Detective Cordier. I think we've met once before.
Probably so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I don't know if I scared you at the beginning or what, but that's why I was trying to, and I can't, you see the position that I'm in. I can't tell you why you're here, but at the same time, I need to rule you out into something. Does that make sense?
The detectives tried to build rapport, talking about the old days on the force, but Grant had invoked his right to remain silent. Frustration set in. Everybody wanted to get this over with. They took a break and gave Grant time alone to think about his actions. They wanted him to confess, but little did they know this break gave him a chance to strategize his defense.
By the way, I'm Detective Cordier. I think we've met once before.
Probably so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I don't know if I scared you at the beginning or what, but that's why I was trying to, and I can't, you see the position that I'm in. I can't tell you why you're here, but at the same time, I need to rule you out into something. Does that make sense?
All their interrogation techniques were failing, and then Detective Cordero decided to take a softer approach, attempting to build trust by sharing a personal anecdote. She appealed to Grant's emotions, emphasizing the importance of facing mistakes and moving forward. But he continued to remain silent, and now invoked his right to a lawyer. And at this point, they knew the interrogation had to be stopped, but they were determined to crack the case. And then came a shocking revelation. Grant Hardin's DNA, which was taken during the murder investigation, matched another cold case from almost 20 years ago. Turns out he was also responsible for another crime. This was unexpected, as there was no hint of clues against him in that case. He was able to commit an almost perfect crime. And so Grant Hardin received a 35-year sentence for both the recent murder and the cold case. Justice was delayed, but it was finally served. The years of fooling law enforcement were put to an end. And lastly, we have the most shocking one for today. This case began in April 2020 when San Diego police received a tip about a man engaging in inappropriate activities with a local child. They didn't know at the time this tip would lead them straight to Jalen Failer. And the shock came in when it was noticed that he is a cop. A cop with a single felony charge that was about to turn into something much bigger. 2 months of intense investigation later, a detective sat down with Jalen to get to the bottom of the allegations. And let me tell you, it was a tense conversation from the get-go. Phelan asked them what it was all about, to which they informed him that they received a picture that looks like him, and it's connected to some serious allegations.
So, I know that I have a lot to delve into, but I really want to get to know you first, if you don't mind.
Definitely.
Okay. So, I'm going to lean back and get comfortable, just because... Are you comfortable? Do you want to take off your duty belt?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing?
Yeah, so... I will ask what this is about?
Yeah, so we're looking into some allegations that were made. We're kind of... It started with a Crime Stopper report, so we're just kind of going from there. We did receive... a picture that, when we looked into it, it looks similar to you. So I don't know if you can take a look at the picture and just tell me if you've seen this picture before. I have like 15 million things here.
The detective, maintaining a friendly demeanor, tried to make him comfortable, but as the questions got more pointed, the room grew thick with tension. As the detective presented the photo he just mentioned, Jalen's stress became obvious. You could see him leaning forward, clasping his hands and clenching his jaw. The detective even assured him he wasn't detained, but the pressure was inevitable.
So this picture right here.
Yeah, that's definitely me with the gross one.
Okay, so this picture right here, how old were you when it was taken?
I don't know, 20?
20? Okay, cool. That makes it very easy. So as far as the picture, so this photo came up in connection with some allegations about you communicating with a younger female on Snapchat.
Okay. Can I ask, is this something I should have lawyers on?
One after the other, the detective presented evidence that would convict him of pretty serious crimes. And then he dropped a bombshell, claiming that along with the photo, there was an account with personal information seemingly made to target Jalen. It was called J178211, a coded combination that connected to Jalen's life, from his jersey numbers to his graduation year. The detective asked him about this account, but he said he'd never heard of it. But the detective pressed on, revealing more details about Jalen's personal life. This put him in a tight spot.
Jay, I'll be very honest, I want to know the truth.
Yeah, no, I've never even heard of that account.
Okay. Have you ever shared any images of your with anyone?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many times would you say you've done that?
A lot.
Did you ever share any videos of you having with anyone?
With anyone? No. I've always had personal videos of me in my life. That was it. And my ex actually had one.
And to avoid this confrontation, he asked for his lawyer, He must have thought that he would now be able to walk away, but unfortunately for him, he was soon given a search warrant that also meant he had to give his DNA sample to the police. And this was the start of his downfall. He soon turned himself in, probably realizing that things were over. Jalen was charged with 20 felonies. These included engaging in lewd acts with children under the age of 14, pandering children under 16, and engaging in explicit acts with a child under the age of 16. A few months later, he was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Justice was served, but it had made everyone shocked to the core. Who could have imagined that a cop, someone who's responsible to protect the public, would end up being convicted of crimes like pedophilia? Really makes you think twice before trusting someone. And that's it for today, guys. 5 times cops found themselves on the other side of the law. And it came as a shock to everyone around. These were not petty crimes, but the most horrific ones. Which case was the most disturbing according to you? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories like these. Until next time,